Hello, everyone. Now, how are you feeling today? Are you open to some sound vibration? Well, you are because you're within a world full of sound and vibration. So, this is something I'm going to explore with Sharon Lynn. And Sharon has some things to share with us. I'm just going to ask you as you listen to this to open your minds if you've not thought about sound vibration before. You take it for granted in your life, and you've never thought about it in terms of as a tool in your life, something that you should be aware of to use for your benefit. And in particular, this series of interviews is about using sound and vibration and movement as a form of healing or awakening consciousness. So let's find out what Sharon's got to say. Good morning, Sharon. How are you?
Hello, yeah, I'm all right, thank you. And you?
I'm very good. I've not had a meditation this morning. Now, usually, especially if I was going to talk on this subject, I would have a meditation. So it'd be interesting to see how much receptivity I have to your energy today. So that would be lovely. I appreciate you coming to share your views on this. I know you're quite experienced, but I'd love you to tell the audience today what it is you do, how you do it, and what do you hope the client or someone around you would get from it. And then perhaps we can discuss other applications of it, for example, with animals or what have you. And also, I do know that you've got some things to share with us. So I'll just leave it open to you as a platform for you to share. Thank you.
Cool. Right, well, it's a subject that I can talk on for hours, so who knows where it's going to go. But I was thinking about this morning before we got on the call. I was like, well, where to even start? Because it's like, I mean, we're surrounded by sound and music, and I mean the options to listen to things and to work with things is infinitesimal, if that's even a word, but you get what I mean. It's like ad infinitum, isn't it? And I was thinking, crikey, where do I start with this? Because obviously I've got my own personal experiences of the sounds that I've worked with, and sound tools that I've worked with over the years. But I was thinking in the shower, as you do, which is also a sound that we can use
Water.
for, water for cleansing and healing and whatnot. But I was thinking, actually, where did sound sort of start in my life? And I think actually probably for all of us, it is in the womb. And I know that's like if we go way back, because we're surrounded by water in the womb, and lots of pregnant mothers obviously play music or listen to certain music to calm the baby. And even if you don't, probably very, very soon after that baby is born, almost immediately, sound comes into play, doesn't it? Because you're either cuckooing or ooh-ahing or singing a lullaby. And I was like, yeah, that's really interesting. And I hadn't really actually thought about it in that way until this morning, which is just the bizarrest thing, because it's something that happens to all of us. But I suppose my awareness of sound and music and song being really, really important to me did start at quite a young age. I've always loved music. I mean, and again, as a child, we're all brought up with some sort of music. Your mum and dad either like classical or jazz or rock or country or pop or all these different genres. But there's nearly always something that you're brought up with. And I mean, I remember, well, I took music at school and I took music O level because I just really loved, the whole concept of sound and music in my life. But I think I was probably only about, I don't think I was at secondary school. I was maybe only about 8, 9, 10 when I wanted a karaoke machine. So, I mean, I had aspirations to be a singer, and, my dad, having been in the merchant navy, sort of thought, oh, it'd be really cool to go on the cruise ships and things like that. And so, from a very young age, that was actually almost one of my aspirations. And I also absolutely loved drums and rhythm. So at one point I tried to learn the drums, you know, like the drum kit drum. No, I mean that just, but as I started to sort of get into the more spiritual way of life, so you know, sort of coming into my 20s and stuff, you know, I met my now husband, and sort of moving into that area of life, one of the very first things that I experienced for insofar as sound, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this or hear this. I've got them all lined up here. You're certainly not going to see all of this on the camera, I don't think, because it's so big.
Oh, good.
But this is
rather
a drum.
stunning.
Yeah, yeah. This is one that I had handmade for me. It's not the first drum that I had, but I share this with you because we've got an elk on here. I'm just going to do a. Right, so when I'm talking about shamanic drums, that's what I'm talking about. And not long after I met my husband, I started down this spiritual path, and I remember somebody coming and doing a drum journey for us, a drum workshop. And I just sort of got into spirit guides and power animals and things like that. And she took us on a journey with the drum, and we got to the end of it, and I was expecting her to say, oh, I saw a wolf or a bear or an eagle, you know, all the typical sort of like Native American things that. And she got to the end of it and she said, oh, I saw elk with you. And I thought, right, I wasn't expecting an elk. What's that all about? Anyway, the reason I share this is because I then looked up elk medicine. Now, bearing in mind, this has all come from this drum journey. So this has all come from sound. So although it might sound not connected at the moment, it's actually all interconnected, because without that sound and that heartbeat of that drum, we wouldn't have gone on that journey. We wouldn't have opened ourselves up to other realities and awareness. And I wouldn't have found out that elk medicine was very strong with me. So that was my first real initiation, I suppose, into using sound as a healing tool. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, when I wanted my karaoke as a child, I was always in my bedroom singing into the hairbrush before I got the karaoke, you know, singing into the microphone, always singing. And again, this morning, you know, when I was thinking about that, I was like, that 100% was a form of healing for me. That 100% took me out of the life that I was in at the time. Now, don't get me wrong, I did definitely not have a bad childhood. I had a really, you know, very pleasant upbringing. I had, you know, loving parents. There's no real trauma, you know, to speak of. However, I did suffer a lot of loss as a child. And I also, and, you know, still do to a degree, but I've accepted it now. But as a child, I always felt very different, very out on a limb, bit of a lone wolf. You know, I had lots of friends, but just didn't really feel like I fitted in. And I didn't understand what that was all about until I started walking my spiritual path. Yeah. And sort of like now looking back, I'm like, oh, right, okay, I can see I'm cut from a different cloth vibrationally. And now it's all making sense. But as a child and as a teenager, it didn't make sense to me. So my outlet was music. It was music, it was sound. I mean, I tried the flute, the violin, the recorder, the piano. I mean, I did all sorts of musical things. Wow. But it was the drums that and yet bizarrely, and I was quite good at all of those things, but bizarrely, when I tried the drum kit, I was useless. When I found these, the shamanic drum, this for me was just so healing and so therapeutic. And even just that heartbeat can open you up and allow you to experience all sorts of things that you would never have experienced before. We've all got a heartbeat. Mother Earth has a heartbeat. That's where we get our time from. So even just that simple boom, 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 what that does on a drum journey is that it grounds you and it anchors you and it centers you. And from the perspective of opening you up and expanding your consciousness, if you think of a tree really rooted, that tree can't grow up and out unless it's really anchored and it's spreading its roots.
True.
Vibrationally, this is exactly what we're like. And that drum beat, just that, literally just that drum beat, and you can do it as a clap if you want. It doesn't matter what it's on. It doesn't have to be a shamanic drum, but just that heartbeat sound. If you close your eyes and you take a breath and you focus on, you know, centering yourself, rooting yourself, the deeper you go, the higher planes of existence, or the, you know, deeper within yourself you can access. So even just that simple drum beat, it can make a huge difference. So through my spiritual journey, I've used all sorts of sound. So I went on a shamanic journey for years. Nine years of my life was spent with drums, feathers, rattles. So there's another sound, you know, rattles. Absolutely brilliant for sort of, you know, clearing energy and expanding, healing. And then I went to crystal bowls, because I'm a crystal healer. So I've worked with crystals for many years, and I started on a journey with crystal skulls as well. And eventually I acquired 2 crystal bowls. So that journey took me in a completely sort of different direction and with a different vibration. And I actually developed, I don't know whether I've got it here. Yes, I actually developed, I've only got a few of these left, but I developed this crystal skull personal and planetary healing CD.
Yeah, so I've got a copy of that.
in fact I developed 3 shamanic CDs prior to that, but there's no point me talking about them and teasing people with them because they're not available anymore and I can't get them recorded again.
Okay. Well, I've got one of yours. Maybe it's not that one. I've got one of yours that you gave me a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one,
a few years ago.
Yeah. So I think it probably is this one because I did this one in 2010. So so yeah. So I started to work with the crystal skulls and I started to work with the crystal bowls, and I just had this download, for want of a better way of putting it, that there needed to be a CD channeled through the crystal skull consciousness. And when I started to channel that, each skull gave me a different sound for a different chakra. So obviously, you know, we've all got chakras, energy centers, and each of those energy centers is connected to a different sound and vibration. So yeah, so it was all developed on a keyboard as soundscapes. So it's not keyboard sounds, it is sort of electronically generated soundscapes. And then over the top of that, depending on which crystal skull I was working with, there's sort of other tracks of either my voice or a crystal bowl or the drum. So there was other different things that came in depending on, you know, as I was guided. And that was just incredible. So from the perspective of expanding consciousness, 100%, that's what that album was about. It's also about healing, because it's a chakra, you know, meditation. So it's also about realigning and, you know, getting into harmony. So all these things are ways in which sound, vibration can assist us. So yeah, with the voice, it's really interesting because that's something that we all have, and even actually if we lose our voice we can still hum. So you know, going back to what I was going to say about the drums, is that a lot of people, when I used to do drum workshops, used to say to me, oh, I've got no rhythm, I can't possibly. But you know what, without exception, anytime anybody picks up a drum and just starts, and especially if you're in a group, you know, because the group will just, you know, go off and guide you, and you'll just do your own thing, and you know, it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, even just humming, you know, singing, chanting, and you know, with crystals, going back to the crystals, and or crystal skulls, or any healing tool that you might use, you know, the general rule of thumb is that you would cleanse them from time to time if you're working with them. So I mean, I always used to just, if I didn't have anything else around, you know, if I didn't have any sage or incense or anything like that, you know, some crystals you can't put underwater, I would literally just pick my crystal up or my crystal skull, and I would just sing to it, or I would tell it that I love it. So, you know, I would just, ah, 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 because that comes from the heart. So even if you just do a very simple ah, you know, that can really shift the energy of your crystal or your whatever, you know, healing tool it is that you're using. Humming is, I mean, that can be used for all sorts of things. And you know, that, and also you, with humming, you'll feel the vibration. You know, you can feel it in your teeth or your lips or your face. So, you know, and I think somebody on Facebook this morning, when they knew that I was coming on to talk about this, said something about, you know, the stimulating the vagus nerve. And of course, that's actually one of the things that can stimulate the vagus nerve, you know, in the brain, is because it's vibration within, you know, this whole sort of cranial area. So I've got an ocean drum sitting on my lap here. So this is a whole other sort of different sound that I've worked with over the years, and I'm still working with this ocean drum now when I go and do WI talks. So although I don't go out really and do sound workshops anymore, I still go out and do talks now and again. And one of the talks that I do is mindset and meditation for well-being. And even with the WIs, I will take this drum with me, because no matter how young or old you are, you will always have a memory of going to the beach or the seaside or sitting and listening to the rain. And again, I think this is another aspect of sound healing that people forget about. You know, we always think about singing or music or playing an instrument, you know, when people are talking about sound. But even sounds of nature. I had my robin pillow here earlier on, but like,
I love robins. Yeah.
But even like the robin, you know, singing in the morning, you know, the blackbird, you know, just standing out there and just listening to nature, that can be sound healing. You know, standing by the ocean, listening to the waves, that can be sound healing. Laughter is also sound medicine, because if I start laughing, I guarantee that if I laugh for long enough, even if it's a forced laugh initially, it ends up being a natural laugh, and you can't then not laugh. And
that's true.
In and of itself as well is sound healing, because you can't laugh without making a sound at some point, even if it's just a sharp intake of breath, you know. But it's like, exactly. You know, we all start laughing.
I know.
If you like the solfeggio sounds and binaural beats, great. I mean, I'm not fussed on binaural beats. They tend to send my brain a bit weird. But other people absolutely love binaural beats, you know, and there's all sorts of solfeggio frequencies. As I say, it's like we haven't even started on any
it's
of
a
that.
huge,
you know,
huge concept. Yeah.
Huge subject. So I think, you know, I think awareness is key. It's just getting people to be aware of the sounds that are around them, that they listen to, that they enjoy. Somebody else asked, you know, what's the best meditation? Doesn't really matter. If you enjoy it and it sounds nice to you, then that's not going to do you any harm. I mean, I love listening to things like whales and dolphins. I love that, like the humpback whale frequency. The way that I tune in and tap into what sounds am I going to listen to for, or what meditation am I going to listen to for what I'm going through, is I always, so last night as an example, lower backache, I thought I'm not focusing on the pain. So when I do a bedtime meditation, irrespective of sort of what I've got going on with me, I always focus on the outcome that I want. So, like, for example, as I was saying, like last night, you know, backache, lower back, and I thought, right, well, I'm not going to focus on the pain, which is what most people would do. Most people would go and try and find a meditation to help heal the pain. Well, I don't do that. I go, well, what's the opposite of what I'm feeling? So what is it that I actually want to feel? So whether that's peace or abundance, or, you know, what is it that I actually, you know, would really like instead of this? So and actually last night I found a whole completely different meditation I'd never done before. And actually what I googled was, I just put in sleep meditation for base chakra, because it was my lower back. I just thought, oh, well, obviously there's something not quite right with my base chakra, so I just went off to find something for that. And actually it was sort of a sound meditation, as it turned out. And this morning I've woken up and my back feels absolutely fine. You know, what is it that you feel you want to fix? If, you know, and if that's a pain or a negative thing, or it's stress or it's anxiety or whatever, then flick the switch in your brain, think the opposite. What's the opposite of that? Then go and find a meditation for peace or flexibility or harmony or whatever. You know, you can just Google it, or YouTube, or, you know, whatever. Always put in sleep meditation, because then when they get to the end, you don't get the adverts and the this and the that and the to wake you up. So if you are specifically looking for a bedtime sleep meditation, but also if it's about expanded consciousness, then, you know, put that in. I don't generally recommend sort of doing a whole opening your chakras thing before bed, because you're going to have a real busy night on every level of being. So, but, you know, peace and, you know, and if you like classical music, there's not going to be any harm going to sleep listening to classical music. We are so what's the word, impressionable. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but we're so susceptible to any sound. So like on nights that sometimes I go to bed and I forget to shut the bedroom door and hubby's got something on that he's watching in the living room, that all goes in unconsciously, and it affects my dreams. So, you know, I would say always be very mindful of what you're listening to, irrespective of whether that's, you know, a song or whether that's something on the TV. I mean, this week, just before we wrap up, I mean, I just chuckled to myself because I asked the Echo Dot to, you know, stick on some happy songs, right? And I can't sort of fault the fact that the music itself was happy, but the lyrics, oh my day. I mean, like, I was listening to the lyrics and I'm like, how is this a happy song? It might be a happy tune, but it's definitely not happy lyrics. So again, that's just, you know, something to be very, very mindful of. So it's all in the awareness, really. It's all in the awareness, what feels good, always focusing on the positive. You know, even if you don't feel that way, how do you want to feel? Because if you're focusing on that, that's what you're going to ultimately bring in. You know, if you like drums, work with drums. If you like crystal bells, you know, crystal bowls or bells, you know, work with those. Wind chimes, you know, I mean, as I've said at the beginning, there's just so many different ways of, you know, working with sound.
Well, I was going to say, how will people come to you? How do you promote this then? Do you promote it? Have you got a separate website?
These days I tend not to. I used to be out doing workshops, and and organically then people would come to me as a client for sound healing. So I'm qualified as a vibrational healer, which is basically the use of crystals, spiritual healing, sound and color. And that really permeates everything that I do. My whole existence permeates all of those, all of those things, or radiates all of those things. So Facebook is really probably one of the best ways to message me. I'm always on Facebook, Sharon.L.Lynn, because there isn't anything on the website about this. But if anybody wants to talk to me specifically about sound or having a sound therapy, because the great thing, of course, now is that with obviously all this way of connecting with people, we can do all this stuff over Zoom, which we didn't have years ago. So years ago, the only way for me to work with somebody with sound was to either have them in my therapy room.
Sorry. Start that sentence again. Somebody banged on a outside. Right, let's go. No, not here. No, not here. Look. See? Nobody there. Walk on. Nobody there. She likes to check. No, nobody banged on her door. Good girl. All done. My God, Sharon, we deserve an award for this. We do. But
well, I think you're going to deserve the award for all the editing.
I'm here at the door. Come say hello. Right.
Hello.
Okay. Right. So yeah, if you could just what was that sentence? I've forgotten. I didn't say it, did I?
It started with so again. The way, yeah. So years ago, yeah, that's right.
Getting hold of you, yes. Oh, on Zoom, yes.
Yeah.
Up here, yeah. Being naughty. I haven't got a ball. I haven't got anything. Where's your teddy bear? Get your toy behind you. You're standing over it. Get your toy. Where's your toy? Nope. She wants something and it's under the sofa now. All right, and so yeah, try your best then.
Yeah.
We'll edit this. It will work. I've got loads here.
So if
you just want to sum it up, try some.
Yeah, I'll start with so years ago. That's how the only way we could do it, and this is how we can do it now. So if anybody wants to, and I'll just wrap up. That's where I did it. So
I haven't got anything else to put in her face. I've got nothing else to give her to read. She's like, oh, come here, come on, come say goodbye, come on, up here, come and say here, come on. You know what you do? As soon as we finished, she'll flake out.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's all the energy. Hey, oh, well, they see now that's interesting because that's release of tension.
Yeah.
So there's, for the way that I understand dogs, there is an energy exchange going on. Now she's actually releasing some of your anxiety about the fact that she's in the room. Yeah. Because you've obviously started to get a little bit not cross with her, like.
Oh no! Well, I tried different strategies, whereas normally I ignore her. But it's difficult to ignore her when she's trying so hard to get my attention. But she does. She used to do that a lot when she was a puppy, but she doesn't do it much now. Yeah. But at the moment, she's calming down because I'm pulling her chair.
It's because she knows that I'm a dog person. She's probably got something to say. I'll see if she speaks to me after the call. See if she's got any.
Okay. Well, while she's quiet, we'll just sum that up then.
Yeah. So I mean, years ago, people either had to come to me in my therapy room, or it was me going to events or running workshops. That was the only way that my clients really could experience a sound bath or a sound experience. Oh, see, I've mentioned that word bath. I haven't even talked about gongs yet. I mean, that's a whole other experience, isn't it? Which is just awesome. But I mean, so these days with obviously technology, people can have a sound experience via Zoom. I've actually done quite a few drumming sessions. Yeah, we can do that via technology now. So if anybody wants to have a chat with me about sound and expanding consciousness or for healing, Obviously I've got lots of contacts, so even if it's not me that they're drawn to, you know, I can point them in all sorts of other directions. I've got lots of drumming friends, lots of gong friends, you know, people doing sound baths, so crystal bowls, all sorts of things. So I'm a bit like you, Victoria, in that I'm quite a good connector. So if it's not something that, you know, I'm able to do, you know, I can point them in another direction. So yeah, so Facebook is probably the best way, or via email, which obviously they can, you know, they can get to me via email on the website, but they won't find anything about sound on the website.
Right.
So yeah, Facebook, sharon.l.lynn. Just private message me. That's probably the best way if you want to have a conversation around vibrational healing, you know, sound, as a tool for, you know, therapy and expanding consciousness.
Wonderful. Well, yes, and also somebody might like you to come along and give a talk. So that, and there's probably some other groups and events going on. So if you'd like to have a chat with Sharon, please do take her up on this. All the information will go in the description below. And thank you, Sharon, because I think this is amazing. And it shows also, you've shown very clearly the breadth of the way that we can work with sound. And
this has just been like the tip of the iceberg. It's just,
yes. And I think an individual would need to explore it themselves as well. So there's a lot of scope there. But thank you for that, because I know you'd like to go deeper. And apologies for anybody who's seen my little dog, is not so little, because she's really responded to Sharon's vibration here today, and she's got quite excited.
Because she kicked off as soon as I started to hit that drum. What we should have done was a nice little meditation to just chill her out, and then we could have just talked from there. But you know,
hopefully we'll talk again, and without the little puppy. Well, she's not a little puppy, she's a dog. She's full grown now. Sorry. She's nearly 4, but she's behaving like a puppy. She's gone retro today. She's behaved as if she was when she was younger. But I think it's lovely energy that it brought to the discussion today, and thank you for sharing all that information. So I'll say goodbye now. Thank you very much, Sharon. Bye bye, doggy, and bye bye everybody else. Bye.